It all makes sense after this chapter. It all makes sense. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let me break it down for you. So, if you go back to the Fullbring arc, yes, the Fullbring arc, some of it actually becomes relevant for this arc and was foreshadowing and kind of is important. Yeah, yeah. So basically, there was a line, and I forget who said it in the Fullbring arc. They were explaining to Ichigo about how one becomes a Fullbringer, how they get their Fullbring. Basically, their parents are attacked by a hollow when they're pregnant. But the thing about it is that Masaki Kurosaki isn't pregnant yet. It could be that she gets pregnant shortly after getting attacked by this guy. But ultimately, everything makes sense after this chapter because at the end of the chapter, Masaki Kurosaki being hit by that hollow, like, I don't even know, it looked like he stabbed his horn through her head or something. And if that's the case, like, holy shit, because, first of all, big thing, Masaki Kurosaki is freaking awesome. Like, the way she threw her bow and freaking Isshin was like, whoa! And she just said, gotcha, and she blew this motherfucker to smithereens. She is epic. But it could be a big thing, like, yo, maybe Isshin is really not biologically Ichigo's father. Maybe. Because they said it in the Fullbring arc. They said, when you're pregnant and you get attacked by a hollow, that's how someone gets their Fullbring. But Isshin and her haven't slept together yet, unless maybe, like, afterward they say something like, oh, like, to clean it up, but they haven't slept together yet. I don't know, maybe Masaki's already pregnant with Ryuken's kid, which would be a real mind fuck out of this world. Like, wait, so Ichigo is actually Ryuken's son? Just a thought. Or it could be that just after getting attacked, it stays there for a bit, and then she shortly after gets pregnant. Like, maybe right after this, they go and hit the sheets, which, Isshin, you my dog. If you did, you my dog. So, pretty much this entire chapter in a nutshell, it confirms a couple different things. It confirms that hollow was actually a soul. They used a soul from a captain, I believe they said, or Shinigami soul nonetheless, to create it, to holify it. It's a holified soul, and that ultimately could also be what Ichigo is and how that became inside of his body. That actually is. It makes perfect sense why it looks exactly identical to when he went freaking nuts against Ukiura. That, a piece of the soul, maybe that is his soul, because I don't think the fight is exactly over. She blew him up at the end when she was like freaking shooting the shit out of him or whatever, but I don't think that the hollow is over yet. So something along the lines of that will also materialize into Ichigo. Maybe that stab alone was enough to put a piece of the soul inside of her. I don't know. But it definitely wraps everything together, and it's starting to become very clear. It's all making sense now. Aizen using that cloak that Urahara left behind, I love it. Awesome stuff. Bringing something as minuscule as a cloak back to relevancy. So that was pretty cool. And ultimately, this chapter was just another kick-ass chapter, honestly. It was just like Bleach at its finest again. It feels like the Turn Back the Pendulum Mark all over again. I almost said Zanpakuto Rebellion. I don't know why. But, it really felt like that, and it really just, like, started connecting dots, making the Fullbring arc very, or decently relevant at the at the very least, decently relevant, because that one quote about where they get the Fullbring from being attacked by hollows, she was just attacked by a hollow, but she can't be pregnant with Isshin's son yet, so either Ichigo's not his son, or she will get pregnant in due time, and it'll still be inside of her. It's either or. I never really doubted Ichigo being, Isshin's son for the most part, aside from joking, but it's a big possibility now, and it could be that, her wish was that Isshin would take care of him. I don't know, but it could be a possibility. We'll just have to wait and see as far as that goes. And ultimately, this chapter, enjoyed it. It was freaking awesome. Aizen, Gin, Tozen, all of them, just, it's crazy. They were experimenting even then. And, seeing that little flashback of the Turn Back the Pendulum arc, really, Aizen was just so conniving and maniacal. Like, just when they were about to jump in again, Masaki's like, no, wait. I want to see where this goes. And once again, that line becomes very relevant as well, that people made fun of Kubo. What are you doing? What are you talking about? With that whole thing where Aizen says, I knew about you since before you were born. Whoever's soul is that was holified is what he's talking about. And everything makes sense now. Everything makes sense. I like that this chapter added more clarity. We still got a little cobwebs here or there. Like, is that even Ichigo, Isshin's son, Ichigo? Or does she get pregnant later, but it's still inside of her system? So we still got a couple more questions, but for the most part, it's starting to make sense now. Everything is coming together. Fullbring arc is being relevant. Everything is coming together now. Overall chapter, I give it. It wasn't, for some reason, it was a little of a letdown because it wasn't as hype as last week. Like last week, I was knocking my socks off, but it still had some awesome stuff. Masaki Kurosaki, the beast. I love an epic female. I love epic females. And to see what she did, gotcha, bam! That was my shit right there. But it's not over. I got a feeling that he's gonna get back up from that like nothing and come back at it. If you notice, it felt as though a little bit Kubo was reusing certain things from the Ukiura stuff with that hollow, because maybe that's why that hollow was so obsessed with ripping Ukiura and cutting his body parts and everything, because he lost an arm. That could also be a little bit like connecting, foreshadowing, like that's why he's obsessed with cutting down Ukiura and ripping his arms off and everything, because he lost an arm. And prior to coming into Ichigo, or whatever the case may be. So we'll have to wait and see about that. But ultimately, damn fine chapter. I would give this chapter, I want to say, 4 out of 5. Last week felt like crazy. This week it was still awesome, but a couple questions there. I felt as though it wasn't too clear. The drawings, I rarely talk about art, but the drawings just felt a little confusing at times, because not confusing, but I guess it felt a little cluttered. A lot of Kubo loves to use the color black a lot. He loves to use the color black, and it was just really thrown all around there. Now, it's kind of ironic that hollow was actually called white when he's all black because of what was inside of him. I thought that was genius. That was just genius. So yeah, big question. Is Ichigo even Isshin's son after this? Because we know what we learned from the Fullbring arc, that they need to be pregnant to get the, for them to get the Fullbring arc, to get the Fullbring, excuse me. Or does she get pregnant afterward and it's still in her system? And also, that's obviously Ichigo's soul right there. That's obviously Ichigo's soul. It makes perfect sense. But will that attack alone hitting her be enough to put him inside and become, take form in there when she gets pregnant? I don't know. There's a lot of variables. We'll have to wait and see. But let me know your thoughts on this. Overall thoughts of the chapter. I thought it was a damn good chapter. Again, Bleach for the win, man. Bleach for the win. It's been on a freaking roll. I love it. Yeah, that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up if you can't wait to get more answers, because it seems as though the battle might not be over yet. Thumbs up for Masaki Kurosaki as well. Thumbs up for her, because she's a beast. I love epic females. I love when females do epic things, and what she did was pretty freaking epic. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.